Genesis chapter 6, verse 14. In the prior verse, God revealed his plan to destroy mankind and the earth to Noah, and now he's going to give Noah a means of escape. So let's dig in. Poieson un seauto kiboton, ek zulon tetragonon, nasias poieses ten kiboton, ke asphaltoses altain, ezothen kai exothen te asphalto. Some new words here, but let's break it down bit by bit. We have an un here, and so this therefore is building off of verse 13, saying, all right, in light of the fact that I'm going to destroy everything, therefore here's what I want you to do. And he gives him a command. This is from poieo, of course, quite familiar. This is a second singular aorist active imperative here. So make, this is his first command to Noah. Make for yourself there, seauto. And here we have, quite famously, kibotos. And now this in Hebrew is tevat. This is for an ark here, although it's also used for like the Ark of the Covenant as well. And you'll notice that we'll figure this out down the road. Even though it has an OS ending in its lexical form, it's actually a second declension feminine. We'll see that it's going to have a feminine article throughout, even though at this stage it might look accusative singular masculine. That's actually accusative singular feminine. One of those somewhat rare second declension feminine words here. So make for yourself an ark. Now what's it going to be made of? Ek zulon. And so zulos can either mean tree or in this case wood. So from the woods, if you will, notice it's plural, and it's tetragonon. Tetragonos means rectangular or square. And most likely what that is referring to is it being trimmed or hewn in some way. It's prepared wood. Now, that may not sound familiar because if you're used to reading Genesis 6 in the English from the Masoretic, you'll probably read something like gopher wood or cypress wood because the Hebrew in the Masoretic is gopher there. And scholars are still debating what exactly that actually is. What sort of wood is that? And so the translator here, perhaps they just punt and they're like, well, we're not going to try to pick a type of wood here. They're just going to describe its shape, if you will. So it's some sort of trimmed wood that a carpenter has prepared, if you will. In other words, Noah's got to go and cut down some trees and shape them to prepare them to build this ark. And what else is he supposed to put in there? So you will make, so poieses there. So notice we're pivoting now using the same verb here, but now this is a second singular future active indicative, although a future active indicative often will have an imperatival force. And so in a certain sense, these are functionally the same in terms of their ultimate locutionary effect, if you will. So you will make nasias. Now this is interesting because nasia and the Hebrew in the Masoretic, kinim here, typically means nest. It's what a bird would sleep in. So I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. If you look it up in a standard lexicon, this would be from Myriacus, Greek English lexicon here. Typically, it does mean nest of birds and so forth. You actually see this a lot, both in the Old and the New Testament. But here, he's like, well, maybe in Genesis 6:14, it's more like a space provided for rest and protection. Now, remember, if you go back to the lexicon video, I mentioned that Myriaca doesn't always just give a word-for-word equivalent. He will give a typical definition to describe it. So it's almost like you could say it's like he says, a cabin of a ship. Now notice that's pretty much only in this particular case, according to him. So whether that's true or not, I think both the Hebrew and the Greek are basically saying you're going to build these little cubbies in the ark, if you will, like a nest where the various animals, as we'll see, can find their shelter. And so you will make these nests. And then ten kiboton here, this is a double accusative. So this nasias here is the accusative plural of nest. And then the double accusative is going to be something like in the ark, even though there's not a preposition. Then what are we going to do to make it seaworthy? This is a verb asphaltao, and you can probably hear it, asphalt here. This means to cover with tar. And this is a second singular future active indicative again with the ses ending, so similar to the poises. And so that's quite a lovely word there. It literally means to cover with asphalt, and that is where we, at least not from the verbal form, but from the noun form that we'll see in a second, that's where we get our English word from as well. So cover it with pitch or bitumen, as you might sometimes see in some translations, and you will cover it that way. And he's going to say esothen kai exothen. So these two words are a nice common pair. So esothen means inside, and exothen means outside, as you probably could guess. So inside and outside in asphalto. This is the noun form of this verb. So with this tar or this bitumen or something like that. So he's giving him these instructions. We need to make a seaworthy vessel from this square-shaped wood, and you're going to make cubby holes in it. Why? Well, we'll find that out in subsequent verses. Why does it need so many rooms? Well, we will have to stay tuned for that. So this is Genesis 6, verse 14.